Greetings, everyone. The name is Thabo Mofokeng. I'm the deal maker in terms of the capital markets business at CW Brawl. I'll be taking you through the opportunities you can pursue with your built environment qualifications. Okay. Just very quickly, just an overview for literally a minute, just to give you context of the Brawl Property Group. We've been around since 1975. We established then, so we're quite a bit of an established company. At the moment, just some of the key points is that we are 51% Black women owned. Total assets under management around 312 billion. And we operate in the leased retail space across the continent. In the past 5 years, we've done around 777,000 square meters. And in terms of the assets under occupier management, we're sitting at around 63 billion. And further to that, in terms of also the facilities management business, we're sitting at around 63 billion there as well. So in terms of the other offering, which is valuations, and we'll talk about that a bit later on, we've done around 103 billion rands worth of valuations and still counting. So got quite a significant spread across the continent, and through our Cushman & Wakefield partnership, we've got an international presence. So we're quite a significant player as a whole, as a company. I won't go through who we are in detail here. I think I just wanted to give us a quick high level, just to give you a quick flavor of the entity. In terms of the key areas I'm going to touch, just for structure and efficiency of the conversation today, what I will do is I'll start just painting the picture around the built environment landscape. Then I'll go into the built environment careers, which is really the crux of what we're talking about in this particular topic, and hopefully that gives some insight to the colleagues. And then finally, we'll just I'll leave you with a few nuggets. What would a younger Thabo have liked to know before getting out of varsity? What would a younger Thabo have done or should have done before leaving varsity, and just some nuggets to leave the guys with. So let's go into the built environment landscape, right? Let's unpack the lay of the land. So I looked at a couple of definitions around what is the built environment, etc. And one that struck me quite nicely was this one from the construction placements, where they say a built environment is the physical manifestation of space designed for human occupancy. So in other words, the design and construction of spaces allow people to live, work, and play. Architects, as we know, design and create buildings, landscapes, public spaces, transportation systems, and other structures. So it is a manifestation of all of that, the built environment. And in terms of the physical spaces that we are commonly acquainted to, we know that the built environment spreads across office, residential, and we know there's subcategories in all these main categories: retail, industrial, healthcare. And then there's also some special use infrastructure, such as your power stations, airports, shipping ports, stadiums, storage facilities, data centers, etc. And furthermore, we know that in the built environment, we have the land, which is now spread across agriculture, mining, even graveyards, and railway network, etc. Who would have thought that graveyards would still fit in the built environment? But it does. So that gives us a landscape, right? Very quickly, and I think it's something that a lot of us are familiar with around the room. But what are the career opportunities that your degree provides you? Okay, so let's start off by defining the degrees, right? Or the qualifications, rather. I'm a product of property studies, so perhaps that's why I was a bit biased and started with property studies. There's what you call construction management, quantity surveying, town planning, architecture, engineering. The valuers shouldn't feel excluded. A lot of them fall under property studies, but I do know other institutions offer property valuations as a separate course, but I hope they do not feel as if I've kept them out. These are just some of the core built environment qualifications. I know that there's additional qualifications in the built environment, but in the interest of time, I just wanted to focus on these 6. So where are we in terms of the multiple integrated career disciplines? What can you do with the degree? So the guys who are in property studies can enter into a whole host, and you can see it's quite comprehensive. So won't go through everything, but you could go through property asset management as something that I've highlighted, because under property asset management, you deal with the performance of assets across board, office, retail, etc., and making sure that assets are meeting the requirements for both shareholders and some other key stakeholders. The guys who do the nuts and bolts, I call them heavy lifters in the property space, your property management environment. This is where you've got tenanted buildings, and even if they are owner occupied, these are the guys that make sure that the daily operation of that building is on point. I often use the example that you can imagine that a building is a patient at a hospital, and that patient at the hospital, if you leave the patient alone, what's going to happen with that patient? So you need the doctors, the nurses, and some of the personnel to make sure that they continuously monitor outside of the machines. They continuously monitor how that patient is doing. So that property management environment, allows for all of those activities to happen to make sure assets are performing well. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen, the erection of properties all over South Africa, whether it's residential, office, shopping centers. These are the property developments, guys, and you have what you call your development managers in this particular environment who are quite active in making sure that the risk of the development from cradle to grave is managed in accordance to the investment parameters and the scope as required by the investors. There's other areas as well, which I won't necessarily touch on. I think they are already on there, but I think I wanted to highlight one more, which is property is not always in the direct environment. So you have guys, and I wish I knew this, by the way, when I was at varsity, but you have guys in the space called investment analyses. And these are guys who would work in your typical asset managers or fund managers, looking at REITs and investing in the various REITs with their knowledge. Typically, you would expand further in terms of your qualifications, which are more finance related, but certainly that property studies background gives you a good hold in terms of understanding that environment. You also become a portfolio manager in that environment as well. And then I think finally in that property studies space, which is what I'm in currently, transaction advisory and capital market specialist, which is really the whole scope of raising capital on behalf of existing clients, making sure that you find equity and you find debt, put all of that together to structure deals for the guys, and ensure that a property that you are acquiring, you can actually get it over the finish line, or a property that you are disposing, you're able to identify the correct buyers, and you're actually able to structure it properly for the respective vendors. Let me move on to construction management. And within that construction management, you do have that full picture there. But I think in the crux of it, you've got your construction program management to make sure that you also deal with the risks. And this is a highly risky space. And so at a technical level, you would need to make sure that you understand the different stages of the construction program, as you guys would have probably studied it and are writing exams on it at the moment. Project management is a key one. And from a development monitoring and management perspective, you work very closely with the development manager and the guys who are running with the developments, and you would form part of the development team. Interestingly enough, you also spend a lot of time in the facilities management environment. Your degree gives you the right tools to be able to deal with all facets of facilities management. I see PC was having a conversation with us just now and highlighting some of the elements that are involved in the facilities management. So with the construction management degree, it allows you, it enables you to actually be quite versatile in that facilities management environment, especially with the current themes around your ESG and making sure that environmentally we're okay and we're implementing some of the best practices from an environmental perspective as well. And I think if you are in a bank, the construction management degree puts you in good stead insofar as being a strong project costing manager, especially for some of the developments that the banks have financed. So when the guys start doing their drawdowns, they'll just need to make sure that somebody is keeping a close eye and the developers are not spending Bentleys and Rolls Royces with the money on the drawdowns. So you need a solid project costing manager to make sure that the drawdown on the S-curve is done prudently. Quickly moving across to quantity surveying, I think I just want to emphasize three areas there: cost management and quantity surveying being the technical element. You get involved in different companies. Effectively, you can work in a bank, again, together with or similar role as the construction management guys. You can work directly within a quantity surveying entity, or you can work within a development company where they actually need somebody internally to do both project management of a project or even the actual financial feasibility of that. And sometimes you could work in forensics, where you are doing forensic audit and risk management, either on behalf of client or internally for the entity that you're working for. And then quickly on town planning and urban planning, very, very important people, And sometimes I feel in the industry, they almost get treated as a by the way. Now, let me tell you, a development will not happen without the town planning input. A scheme will not even break ground. So all the guys, and we'll talk about the architects just now, and all the property development guys, and all the space planning guys, the quantity surveyors, they can do all the nice models and build it and everything else. Until such time that you've got your applications approved and you've gone through the thorough process of spatial planning, etc., undertaken by your town planners. Those are the gatekeepers. It's not going to happen. It's just a pretty idea, and it's not going to fly. So very important environment, very technical aspect. You can work in your typical municipalities. There is a shortage of town planners in that environment. You can work within an existing boutique town planning entity that services development managers or developers or investors, etc. You can work in the urban and rural human settlement planning environment, in planning of spaces, etc. And it's a very important area in the future as we try to, plan the landscape of the country. And also, you can work as a portfolio analyst and mapping specialist. So you'll find that parastatals and these big entities, they have thousands and thousands of land parcels and properties all over, yet they do not know where their properties are sitting. So you do the geo mapping and apply data analytics to actually identify where the different assets are sitting and so on and so forth. Very creative and gymnastic type activities that you get to do there. So let's go to the architects, right? Architects, you guys are the creative guys. You are the ones that give us cost overruns, and you want to build buildings with S's and they look like nice curves, etc. You are an essential service in the built environment. You are an essential service insofar as the design and development of different type of structures. So we know that in that particular space, you have got quite a wide array in terms of what you can do with your degree. So you're not limited to just, building and designing a building. For example, you can also be a project manager for the respective project. Architectural technologist is quite commonly used across board. And also from an urban design perspective, using your your skill harnessed at varsity. Also, if you're not conventional as well, from designing specific buildings, your skill is also used in the digital and graphic design, particularly within architectural firms, where now you have to actually put this design into proper graphic pictures, and you can sell the scheme, etc., etc. Very important skill set and very relevant in the architectural space. And one interesting area will be around the research and technology development in an ever evolving built environment when we look at it across board. Let me end with the engineers. Now, I just put engineering studies as one umbrella, but we know that there's a whole array now. So, on the engineering, I think I want to emphasize something here, which is around your electronic software and systems. And you'll see in my next slide why I go there. I think the future is really about your data, your your applications, and effectively your technology and how that comes in together into your different degrees. So I think that's going to be quite an important integration into the built environment as we go into the future. I know that it's quite comprehensive what I've provided here, and I suspect you guys will have the slides, but one thing that you take away from the careers in terms of what does your degree buy you? I think it is fair to realize that it buys you an array of different areas within or career paths that you can actually explore. That is what that ticket buys you. And so you are not limited to a particular area. The scope is quite wide insofar as, each and every qualification within the built environment. So I hope that gives you quite a nice picture. It's quite comprehensive, but it gives you a nice picture of, what it is that's available in the environment. So in the last 5 minutes, as I wrap up, I just thought, let me add this last touch here to say, what do you consider before you go into the job market, right? And I think this is kind of what I wish somebody had told me before I had gone into the job market. I just wish somebody else, Portia, had this conference before I graduated, because I think certain decisions could have been different, but I still don't regret anything. I'm still quite happy with my path. So let's think about the following, right? Which focus area appeals to your skill set and personality? What responds to your personality? And if you haven't found that within a potential career path that you could take, it's important to consider internships or job shadowing opportunities. Now, I know some of us in the room, we went for an internship and people made us do tea and coffee and all sorts. But notwithstanding that, just explore the environment and have conversations. Because you see, the thing about it is that you are in a room full of engineers or you're in a room full of architects. Nothing stops you after making them a coffee to say, hey, how about I have a coffee with you? And why don't you sit down with them and actually ask them about what it is that they do, etc. So even if you get to be the coffee guy, with the person that you have made coffee for, how about that? You see, you are in an environment, but try getting internships, try getting job shadowing opportunities. Sometimes they don't pay you, it's okay, but just be in an environment where guys have already done the stuff